Yeah, what we were mentioning about Superman, I think first things first is I like the costume. Like you mentioned that we were talking about this in the car ride home. Well, like I
Yeah.
was driving. You're all the way in Florida. Um, but the costume, I feel, and like you mentioned that the director James Gunn was debating not doing that, but then David was just like, yeah, it's supposed to be a little bit corny. You know, it's supposed to be a little silly. You know, because like Superman's a big, powerful guy,
Yeah.
and if he doesn't have some silly aspects to him, people might like just truly genuinely fear him. So if his costume isn't at least a little silly, people are going to be like, okay, well, this guy seems way too serious to have all that power, you know?
Yeah. James Gunn was worried. Well, he couldn't decide whether to do the trunks or not, which is like the little like kind of underwear things over the costume. Um, and when he was talking to David about it, he was pretty much like, "Don't you think it would be silly?" And David kind of said, "That's kind of the whole point. I think is that Superman doesn't want everyone to take him seriously. You know, he's a humble guy. He's just there to be good and do good, and the trunks kind of assists with that. So I loved it. I love the suits. I thought all the suits were absolutely perfect.
I personally like the designs with the suits. Like, I'm going to insert camera here. Or, not camera. I'm going to insert video of David Cornsweat's suit here. I like the little lines and the, like, you know, little details. It takes a modern aspect to a classic suit. Like, it is supposed to be silly, but they don't need it to have such a... Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Homemade look to it. I feel like with
Yeah.
what was that guy that we were talking about just a second ago? He was paralyzed by the horse. Forgot his name.
Christopher Reeves.
Thank you. Yeah, Christopher Reeves. His suit, and like for the time, that was like a great suit. But it was a very like, you know, homemade look. Like if you look back on that suit, you'd think, yeah, that was a very homemade looking suit. Which again, I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but it was good for the time. But I like how they took that, like, you know, silly aspect of that, you know, classic blue and red suit, and they sort of added some like modern aspects to it with the like little lines and stuff. What I really liked that about the suit. The acting in general was just great. Like, as you know, as we said before, the acting from David, from the actor who played Lex. I'm blanking on the name right now. The actors.
Nicholas?
Yeah. They all were peak. They were perfection when it comes to acting.
Yeah, I thought David Cornsweet did such an incredible job, like, being the super and the man, you know, of the title. He like had a very human aspect to him, obviously, and a very like boyish kind of fun attitude, but there was just so much depth to his character when he was being Superman or Clark Kent, and I just really appreciated that. And Nicholas Holt, I believe, who played Lex Luthor, I thought he was fantastic because, like I said to you earlier about Lex Luthor, I feel like it's such a hard character to play just because it's pretty much a bald rich man who's jealous of Superman.
Right,
you know?
exactly. Yeah.
And that sounds very silly, but there's a lot to him, and I feel like it's hard to play him in a way where people can watch him and take him seriously enough, because he's just doing such ridiculous things. But I thought he did a really good job. Supervillains in general are hard to play just because, like, they're so dramatic and kind of can be very silly. Same with superheroes and supervillains. But yeah, I don't know. I thought they both did such a good job. Same with Lois. I thought Lois was so, like, I thought she was wonderful. She played the tough girlfriend, good journalist, brave human for, you know, when she went and hunted down the Justice League and you know, was like, what are we doing to get him? You know, she was very good. Overall, I thought when I think of Lois Lane, I think of a you know, kind of like a needs help from Superman type character, you know, just kind of crushing on him, and she's so much more than that, and I thought she did such a wonderful job of capturing her bravery and her true like love towards Superman and
Absolutely.
his true human character versus she saw him more as the human he was than the superhero he was, which I thought was really wonderful.
Something else I really love about Superman in the movies, I didn't mention this previously at the beginning of the video, but huge spoilers if that wasn't obvious enough,
Yeah, you might
already.
want to add like a title card at the beginning that says
Yeah,
that.
I will. Yeah, yeah. I don't want people going into this and then hearing what Superman's into heavy metal. Yeah, apparently he is. But
Punk rock.
that's exactly what I like about Superman is like when you think of Superman, somebody who's like not big into comics or watches these movies religiously, someone who's just like, oh yeah, that's that one comic book character. Yeah, I know Superman.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't think of him as somebody who would be into punk rock, but like I love the depth that they added to Superman with that little thing of, oh yeah, by the way, he's not all into listening to American Pie on loop 24/7. He's got some depth when it comes to his personality. He's not all big blue Boy Scout all the time. Sometimes he's got to rock out, which I really appreciated that they did with Superman. And like you were mentioning with Lois, with Pa Kent, like I'm restate what I mentioned in the car, but
Yeah, please.
the message that they portrayed with Pa when he's getting emotional to Clark, I feel like in this day and age, not a lot of men feel strong enough, comfortable with expressing their emotions. So seeing Pa being so openly vulnerable and emotional about how proud he was of his son, I feel like that was peak. I think that was amazing. And they didn't make it something else that I really appreciate, that they didn't make it like a whole plot of the movie. They just like made it a secondary thing. They're not like, oh yeah, and Pa Kent feels comfortable with expressing his emotions. They're like, don't mind him. He's just an emotional mess when it comes to Clark. They don't make it a whole thing that they have to make a whole dramatic story about. They just made it a thing. Yeah, Pa's gonna cry.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciated, that it didn't have to be a spectacle of, oh, a man's crying, how crazy, which I really appreciate from that aspect.
Yeah, they just kind of let you feel that emotion and that depth of those two. So I liked that a lot. I loved when he went home and you got to see kind of how he grew up in it, and it made a lot of sense of how that shaped him more than anything. Like those people in that place shaped him. And oh my gosh, we need to talk about a couple of the cinematic shots, possibly. The one where he's at home and he wakes up and Crypto is there laying on him. Oh my gosh. Oh. I loved that shot.
Amazing.
Yeah, that shot was so good. There's so many pause moments where you could, I mean every moment, but so many uber specific ones where you see the vision and the hero that he is that really stand out.
Right.
What else do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the Justice League? You had a lot to say about them earlier. The Justice Gang.
I do, but I want to touch on something else first. And I'm pretty sure that we already mentioned this. No, we mentioned it in the car. We haven't mentioned it here yet on the podcast. But what I really appreciate is right off the bat, it describes like what's happening. Superman has that intense, like the energy. He crash lands in the Arctic. He's breathing heavily. He's spitting out blood. It's really intense. He just lost a fight. Like he's not doing well. And then you hear the whistle, and then the intense Crypto just piling through the snow flying behind him with like crazy velocity, and then boom, the seriousness breaks with Crypto. I just called Crypto Supo. With Crypto jumping on Superman and all that, like how they so perfectly broke that intense moment with a hint of comedy, which I really like.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about Crypto forever. I would die for him, I think. I loved how James Gunn used him as like a tool in this whole movie, in the best way. He was there as a hero when they needed him to be, and he was there as comedic relief when they needed him to be, and he was so much personality, but so true to just a dog.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, from dragging Superman home to not being able to listen and just licking his face to going home to Kansas and just wanting to play with the cows. And
Right.
I also think they used him so perfectly for when Lex took him in the first place from the lair and from Superman's,
Oh, absolutely. I went John Wick mode when I first saw that. Like, I don't mean to interrupt, but I went John Wick mode. I'm like, you give Crypto back, or I'm jumping through this screen, and I'm.
Well, I love that. That's what it's all Superman could think of as well. He went straight to Lex Luthor and was like, "Where's the dog?" Like, he turned himself in to hopefully find the dog. As much as that dog frustrated him, like, I don't know, he cared about, and I think that also comes down to just him, caring about every single living thing. When there's one, oh my gosh, I couldn't even tell you which fight scene it's in, but there's one scene where he saves a squirrel.
I remembered that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be completely honest here, and the ultimate, like, I was looking at this at the ultimate grand scheme of things, but why save a singular squirrel? Like, the squirrel can move pretty fast. They dodge cars all the time. I think they can dodge a giant foot.
Something was about to just mush the squirrel, but I think it just shows to his character that, like, he's there to serve and protect. Yeah. And it was kind of like a silly shot where you're like, not him saving a squirrel, like, what? Like, come on. But at the end of the day, it showed, it was there to show you just who he was.
Absolutely. It completely, like, I understand where they were coming from with that shot. I was looking at it a little, like, not so much into the movie, but that was more a brief time where I'm just like, huh? Like, why do that with a squirrel? You know? Yeah. But what I really appreciate is how great the actor who played Lex was fantastic. When Superman's just like, your obsession with me is getting kind of creepy, and then he goes on this big tangent about how, Picasso, like, was known, like, was remembered for blah blah. And, like, you could tell, like, the look on his face was just, like, he was crazy. I don't know how else to say it. Like, he literally opened up a black hole just to get Superman's attention. Not even as a last resort to destroy Superman, but as just to get his attention. Like, he literally said, let's see if Superman can ignore this. Yeah. Which it speaks to how just crazy and outlandish Lex Luthor can be. Which
I know we've been throwing around the term crashing out a lot in this day and age, but he truly was crashing out. He was spiraling very bad. Yeah,
he was. Like, he was gonna take down Superman if that was the last thing. And, like, honestly, the acting and the plot and the writing and just all of it, like, truly had me hating Lex Luthor. Like, at the end, when Krypto's like, you know what, screw this guy, and just starts mauling him, I'm like, hell yeah, Krypto, don't stop. I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's paying for what he did.
That was so funny too, because it broke, again, Krypto breaking such, like, a serious moment in a way that, like, just tearing up Lex and Superman being like, hey, knock that off, hey, drop it, like, trying to get him to listen per usual. I just thought that was so funny. Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing. And, like we mentioned, we touched on how open it is about, like, men expressing emotions. But it also touches, like you were touching about with Lois. It's also, it didn't play, because I feel like it's a pretty, like, in the vintage classic sense of things. It definitely leaned towards the older days of Superman comic books, not so much the newer days. But it also didn't make Lois a damsel in distress, and it didn't make the women there damsels in distress, I guess. Like, they played big parts. I think all of the big female roles played parts in the ultimate, saving of the world. Like, Hawk Girl,
100%.
Lois with, seeking out the Justice Society. The one girl who was Lex's. There's so many names here that start with L.
Evie? Was it Evie?
Evie, yeah, with Evie, and sending the pictures, and I love
Mm-hmm.
how it's just from the background, like all of the information that she had was in the background of a selfie, and how that like it
Mm-hmm.
speaks to who she is, but also how she can truly still help. Like you can
Yeah.
look absolutely gorgeous and still be calculated and helpful, which I really appreciate that aspect of the movie too. Which yeah,
Yeah. I did too, and I also just loved there were so many just like little details and plots that made the movie for me, like Olsen, like the fact that Jimmy Olsen was the one who Evie was like cheating on Lex with, and she's like obsessed with him, and that was like, I mean, a huge turning point obviously in the movie, but like that kind of side plot where everyone's obsessed with Jimmy Olsen, and even Lois is like, what the heck, like
exactly.
what is going on, like that's just such a funny, important obviously, but funny side plot, um that I think again just works towards the good humor and fun aspect of the movie. But
Exactly. It's confirmed Jimmy Olsen got mad Riz.
it is
Yeah.
it is confirmed.
Yeah, no, it's I do appreciate how they add those little things. Like, you don't originally think Jimmy Olsen being so good with the ladies would save the world, but, it did in the end. I love how that is not something that you would initially, like at the beginning of the movie, you wouldn't initially think, oh, Jimmy Olsen, you know, getting girls isn't gonna save the movie. It's just like a funny little side that's not gonna help in the big grand scheme of things. Oh, what's that? It's his Riz that saved the day. Amazing, which I really like. um,
Mm-hmm.
I just like how they added those tiny things into the movie that just really did it for me. That really just pushed the movie from good to great. There's so much there's so much in this movie, but they also didn't. They gave it to you in little bites to the so it was digestible. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. Everything just felt, James Gunn, who wrote and directed this movie, he did such a good job of just balancing everything in the movie, which in my eyes is one of the most important things when I watch like movies. Like, it's the things that stand out. It's like, oh, there was too much of this and not enough this, or too much of the, like, not enough of this and way too much of this, and in this one I can't think of anything I feel that way about, which is pretty insane. I felt like it just overall was, yeah, just balanced and easy to watch, which I always love.
Which, absolutely, I completely agree with. There's so much, and like you mentioned the car earlier, when it comes to Guy Gardner, the character progression, the character growth was amazing. Like at the beginning when they're fighting that giant monster, he's like, I gave it oven mitts, which was absolutely just it was so funny. But I love how he grew towards the end. Like, sorry I didn't get Superman, kid, but you got an upgrade. I just love the character progression that they gave that character. It was truly fantastic in my opinion. I couldn't ask for better character growth and character design in the first place. It was great.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It was great right off the bat, but the growth from the characters it made it even better. It I sound like a broken record, but it turned it from good to great for me.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it balanced. I just can't get over the balance between seeing Clark and seeing Superman and seeing him with Lois and seeing him with, the Justice Society, and seeing the other Daily Bugle, co-workers and employees, and seeing Lex. Like, it all just it just it flowed so well together. And back to what you just said about the Justice Society, like, I just thought I had no idea. Like, I knew, well, obviously I knew going in that there were other superhero characters, but I didn't really know the weight they would hold on the movie at all. And And when you see casting for superheroes, a lot of the time you see like perfect superhero looking people and builds and all that. And um, I don't know. And when they casted these people, I feel like a lot of people did not see that out of this group, but yet it was perfect. I can't explain it. They just all were so perfect for their roles. And
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. When it comes to things, I feel like nowadays, people like to think if you don't look almost exactly how I think you should look like for the role, you won't be a good hero. But like with David Cornsweet, he does look like Superman. Like he's got the black hair, blue eyes. I believe Superman's got blue eyes.
mm-hmm.
But he's got the Superman look. Absolutely. And what's great about that is he's not the traditional, I guess. Like, I didn't even know David Cornsweet was, like, existed before the Superman movie. I was like, oh, that's the new Superman character? Like, I'm sure I saw him in some movies or other things, but, like, I don't remember seeing. But, sorry if I seemed like I was getting a little distracted. Dad walked into the room and just started smirking at me. But that's what I truly love, is how it doesn't really matter how much they look like the characters. It matters more how they can portray the characters, which is very true, in my opinion. And as a whole, as I'm walking out of the movie, I told you this in the car, but like as I'm walking out of the movie, this lady just asks me what I thought of it, which really speaks to how much I feel like this can help the current world right now, the current climate of what's going on and how divided everybody is. I feel like this movie, I'm not going to say single-handedly can save it, but can definitely push us back to the way things were when people weren't afraid to talk to don't talk to strangers, kids, but be nice to strangers.
You leave that movie and the kindness and the love radiates from it, if that makes sense. It
absolutely,
it does. Yeah. It bubbles in you when you leave the movie. It makes life feel easier to do those things. It makes you want to be a better person. I can't explain it. I can. That's pretty much it. But yeah, I agree with you, Bob.
Absolutely. Like I walked out of that movie, like, and I'm holding doors for people, which, I mean, yeah, sure, I already hold doors, but like I feel like I have to. Like, I have a moral obligation to be like, hey, this person's got their hands, they're pretty full. Here, I'll do a door for you. You know?
Yeah.
It's so true. Sorry, you're about to say something?
No, I wasn't.
And Kara at the end of the movie, which I really love. Like in the older shows, in like the Justice League show, Kara was definitely, and the show was more targeted towards kids, so they couldn't make her as crazy as they made her in the movie. But like, she is a kid. She is like, naive. She's not responsible whatsoever. But they did that in a way that, like, hey, this movie's targeted a little bit more towards adult audiences. I'm sure there were kids there, so, probably wasn't too, some parents might not have been too happy to see their daughters or sons' favorite, superhero, Supergirl getting drunk and, not being responsible, which they probably weren't too happy about that. But the fact that they made that childlike, irresponsibility a little bit more directed toward us adults, and how we would see, a young girl and like, oh, she's living life, she's having fun while she can. I really appreciate that, how they portrayed Supergirl. And again, half the actors' names I don't remember, but the actor, she did a really good job. The robots, Superman robots, they were amazing. They had character growth, which I thought was crazy. At the beginning of the movie, when Krypto got him to the fortress, and they're like, there's no need to thank us, Superman, for we are automatons and we will not truly appreciate it. Next, like at the end of the movie, he's just like, hey yo, call me Dave, bro. And he's like, alright, Dave. But I really appreciate the design of the characters and their personalities. Excuse me. I'm yawning today.
I agree with you. I agree with you on all of it.
But yeah, I think that's about it. I think we've touched on everything that we can touch on. We got a good almost 30 minutes here. I can stretch out 3 more minutes so I can get at least 30 minutes out of this. You know, more watch time, more money. But yeah, that's the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. If you want more of this, we can, like, you know, I don't know if my sister here is down for it, but, like, you know, future movies that come out, we can, like, do more reviews on them in the future.
I love talking about a movie. Anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was certainly a blast to record with you, Abby. I can't wait to get to editing it and putting some things in there, which I'm glad that we're filming a podcast, which means a lot less crazy visual effects, because this is probably just going to be playing in the background, so, you know.
Yeah,
but,
it'll be easy.
But yeah, I really, all in all, 10 out of 10. I couldn't ask for a better Superman movie, but yeah.
Yeah, if you take anything from this, go see Superman. It's really, really wonderful, and be open to the silly feeling of all the silly feelings it gives you, because if you go into that movie just willing to feel everything, it will make you laugh, it will make you cry, it will make you feel like a better person, it will bring you hope. It's an all-around for me. It's one of my favorite movies I've seen in a really long time. So
it truly is. It gives you, at the end of the movie, I feel like it gives you a sense of energy. It really livens you up. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button, because it would really help out this channel a lot. Hit the subscribe button too. It's free. It takes 2 seconds. And if you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe later. But comment down below what your favorite part of the movie was, because I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it. Share this video with your friends so they can hear about Superman. Hopefully, if they haven't already seen the movie, you know, make sure they're not getting spoiled. But yeah, I will check you guys out in the next one. See you later.